Hello, internet world. It's Monday, my favorite day of the week. And today we're being positive and productive. I'll just wait for a few people to show up. Today I'm going to give you a tip. I'm not really sure. I'm calling it the rule of three. I don't know if it has an official name, but it's a simple concept that works in a lot of different areas. So it's really a way to kind of put instant gratification on pause and allow you to prioritize. So what it looks like is when you identify something you want, you don't give in to that want in the moment, but you have a really specific strategy for dealing with it, right? Because who am I to say, hey, when you want something, don't go for it. Just put it on pause and wait. Like, yeah, okay, that sounds great, but how? So this is about the how. And I was reminded of it when a friend of mine sent me a meditation for July. I'm doing loving kindness meditation every day. July has 31 days. So even if I miss a day, it guarantees that I do it 30 days. And that's just like a common thing, right? Oh, I'm going to do this for 30 days. Anyways, so the meta meditation talked about this thing called the rule of three. And the woman doing meditation said, if you feel an itch or a body ache or a discomfort, acknowledge it, let it go. If it comes back a second time, acknowledge it and let it go. Third time, if it's still there, then you can adjust, scratch or move or whatever. But she said often by the third time it disappears. And you could read research on the connection between the mind and body and how sometimes the body creates situations so that the mind can engage in a thought loop, blah, blah, blah. That's not the point of today. The point of today is the rule of three. So how can that help you? Well, one, it was super helpful during meditation to have an actual specific tangible thing. I've heard other guided meditations where the speaker said, ignore it, acknowledge thoughts and let them go, but never said how to come back to them or when or if. So then afterwards, I was thinking, when I was a coach and we would do food challenges, if someone had a craving for, candy, I would say, when you have the craving for candy, pick a day. So like say it's a Monday morning, you're like, oh, I need Reese's Pieces, which by the way are my favorite. I need them so bad I could die, but they're not in line with my goals and values, so I'm not going to eat them. Write it down. Say, put a piece of paper on your fridge on a sticky note. Wednesday, I will eat Reese's Pieces. So what that does is it satisfies your brain, like, okay, I am going to get what I want, but then you have some space. And when Wednesday comes along, you have the opportunity to make a conscious choice. So the rule of three, waiting 3 days. Another way that this strategy shows up in life is my son, when I was trying to teach him financial responsibility. So we'd go to the store and he'd be like, oh, I want that. And I'd say, okay, go home, think about it. If you still want it in 3 days, I will drive you to the store and you can purchase it with your own money. Instead of just saying like, hey, it's your money, do what you want. I also want to teach him that sometimes those impulsive buys aren't things we really want. I do the same thing with Amazon, especially during the pandemic. I've been fearful of going out to large places. I grocery shop and whatever, but if I can get it from home, why bother? So I put something in my cart and I let it sit there for 3 days. And if I still want it, then I'll buy it. So that's kind of how the rule of three can show up in multiple different areas of your life. Finances, food choices, meditation. But, oh, do you hear that? The appliances in my house sing when they're done. It's lovely. Those are my dishes ready to be put away from the dishwasher. I digress, per the usual. So rule of three, that's how it works in other areas of life. How can it work in your own life when it comes to being positive and productive? I have had a very hard time dealing with social media and the news. A little narrative to explain. I was reading a lot of news about coronavirus, just trying to get some certainty in my life. And I was going to news sources I trusted, ones that were against my typical beliefs so that I could get a wide view. And I was also going to other countries because I was like, I really want to take politics out of this and see what other people are saying. But as you can guess, the consumption of massive amounts of news can lead to emotional distress, aka I was living in fear. I was terrified. So I limited myself to 10 minutes of news a day. And then this weird thing kept happening where I can't believe I'm admitting this on the internet. I would get up in the middle of the night, like 2 in the morning, and spend an hour researching. And then I'd be tired and like, the next day, like, why do I do this to myself? And then I was talking about binge eating and how that shows up in my life, and the fact that the more strict I am with my diet, the more I am likely to binge occasionally. And that creates like a vicious cycle. And all of a sudden, a light bulb went off and was like, oh my gosh, you're binging on news because you're limiting it too much. So, just a side note, sometimes when we try it with good intentions to limit things, we actually set up a situation where it can be worse. And every human is different. This is just, my process. But anyways, that long story is just to narrate how powerful the rule of 3 is. So now I'm looking at how I can apply this to things in my life. Well, if I have the urge to read the news 3 times, I'm going to read it. So instead of saying to myself, hey, you only get 10 minutes of news a day, I'm not going to create this little box to fit into. I'm just going to be more intentional. So on that 3rd time, if I still feel like it's a good and important and safe thing to do, I'll read it. This also works if I'm being distracted by text messages or wanting to watch YouTube videos, or probably TikTok is more the Lisa style. But whatever it is that keeps you from feeling productive in your day, don't just cut it out. Don't minimize it and put it in a little box with time restrictions. Give yourself the rule of 3. If I think about it 3 times, then I can go ahead and engage with it. Now, this goes without saying, I'm never going to use the rule of 3 for something that's unsafe. And what's unsafe to me might be different than what's unsafe to you. Because those unsafe behaviors, even if I wait 3 times and then choose to engage with them, the problem is they're unsafe for me in my life because I know once I open that door, I have a hard time closing it. So, I can't even say what those are because it's honestly different for every single human. And a big part of living a positive and productive life is just being aware of yourself and your own loops and behaviors and attitudes towards things. That doesn't come without practice, and that doesn't come without making mistakes, and that doesn't come without success, and it also doesn't come without talking to other people so they can help highlight your blind spots. For me, that looks like counseling. I have a therapist I absolutely adore. It looks like journaling. It looks like meeting with like-minded groups of people who like to discuss those things. It looks like reading a variety of books and articles, and meditation. So that's a great analogy for recovery too. Aptly so, because recovery is living. But for me, recovery is the same. I can't just have one pathway. I have all of these things that come together and help me live a forward-focused life. Not perfect, but mostly positive and mostly productive. Even my mistakes when I fall into a trap, like let's say the news example I used, I'm living, hours of my life when I should be sleeping, consuming news that's stressing me out. That's not positive or productive. However, it does give me an opportunity to learn something new about myself. So even something I would label a mistake or, something I don't want to engage with is still productive because it teaches me as long as I'm open to being curious. Anyways, long story short, if you have a question or a comment, go ahead and leave it while I type up the positive and productive tip for today. And then I'm going to head out in just a few minutes. Enjoy the rest of my Monday. Anything? Okay, I think I captured it in words. Again, this is just me sharing what works for me. It's not a prescription or anything that's, a definite that works for everybody, but I'd love to hear if it is helpful for you in your lives. Other than that, I will see you next Monday for Positive and Productive. And if you're feeling the need for more connection, we have peer services. You could always call our line and have someone walk through your recovery journey with you. Or if you're looking for that community feel, there are either workouts or hikes 6 days a week outdoors with recovery. So check out our calendar and hop on one of those. I do know we have another kayaking special event coming up. You do have to register beforehand, so you could do that. And last but not least, if you find value and you want to give back to the community, we don't have volunteer opportunities like we used to. We're looking for creative ways to re-engage with that, and the future is the future. But you could donate to our 5K, participate, share the message of the 5K or our programming, just get the word out there. That's what it means to be a recovery warrior. Whatever you can do from where you are to help reduce stigma and create a community of people like-minded, focused on being our best selves. All right. Enjoy your Mondays, humans. I'll see you around.